All right, so welcome to my webinar. And today I'm going to talk about the CPA new 2027 CPA Professional Program. Now, I'm seeing a lot of new names here in a webinar, so I'd like to start off by just introducing myself. Of course, a lot of you know me, but still, I think that would be the right thing to do. So my name is Gevorg, it's pronounced like Gevorg, and I'm the founder of Gevorg CPA, which we colloquially call GCPA Coaching, and we provide CPA Canada exam training. We essentially help students pass their CPA Canada exams and become Canadian CPAs. And I've got exciting news update, which I'm sure you all have received as well, and that is we are getting the new 2027 CPA Canada program. It's launching very soon, and we got the exact details of the program. You must have seen an email like this from your CPA body. This one is from CPA Ontario, and CPA Western and other provinces also sent it out. Everything is changing, but not really changing. You know why I'm saying this? Is because to become a CPA in Canada, you have to go through 4 E's. Those 4 E's are entry, education, examination, and experience. So those are the 4 E's. That's not really changing with the new program. With the new CPA program, which I'm going to call CPAP from now on, you still have to satisfy the entry requirements, and it's going to be 2 ways. If you're a current student, you're going to have to transition to the new program. And if you're a fresh grad student, let's say you're in high school right now, or you're in your university, and you want to become a Canadian CPA, then you're going to be a new entrant or a fresh entrant into the program. So you still have to satisfy that entry. Now for education, we used to have the old, well, I'm calling it old already, but it's the current modules as of now, as of 2025. That was the Core 1, Core 2, electives and capstones. And in the new 2027 program, we have the official names of the new modules, the education that you have to do, and they're called foundational development, core, leadership, and professional readiness. So you can see there's actually less modules to take in the new program starting from 2027. Now, the next E is about examination. And we used to have an exam for each of the modules, except Capstone 2 didn't have it. And for Capstone 1, I put exam in quotation marks because I don't really think that's an exam. It was just a presentation. We had the CP. Now you got to do 4 exams in the new CPAP 2027. And then the last E is about experience. You have to do foundational work experience, professional work experience with the new program. Okay, so let's go through this new program together and let's understand what exactly it's all about, right? And that's actually going to be the agenda of today's webinar. I'm going to go through the transition rules when you're a current student, a new student, and what are the modules and the exams, so the second and third E, and finally the last E, which is the experience. I call it W/E, so work experience. So let's talk about the entry, and I've created this little diagram to just help you understand how the transition works. So let me walk you through this diagram, and I'll try to make it as clear as I can possibly do it. So all of you out there are going through CPA PEP or you're planning to start CPA PEP. I call this the pipeline. Think of it, the pipeline that has a beginning and an end. Now, effective 2027, we have this new pipeline coming in, the new program. And when it launches in January to May 2027, actually January 2027 is the official launch date, but the first modules will start in May 2027. At that point, you can voluntarily, if as of January 2027, you have already been accepted as a CPA candidate from Core 1 onwards, you can voluntarily switch over to the new program and continue upwards in the new pipeline, right? The blue one. Or if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And that's fine. You can make that decision because remember, as this slide showed, it's a voluntary decision. No one's going to force you to do it. You can stay there and just keep chugging along until the end. But let's say you just started it just before 2027, you just got into Core 1 or you just finished Core 1 and Core 2. What's the catch? Like, how long can you stay in this pipeline? Well, the thing is, from 2027 onwards, it's going to be like a dead end. There is only so much you can keep attempting those exams, and there will be nobody else who's going to enter this old pipeline. The road is closing, essentially, right? So the current road is closing, and there's a dead end, and you can switch over, or as I call it, jump ship right away. Or if you want to stay in there, you have until December 2028 date where you must switch over. You don't have a choice anymore because it's a dead end. The pipeline is ending and you have to move over. So this raises naturally a question that all of you perhaps have in your mind, which is, Should you stay in a pipeline as much as you can or jump ship to the new program as soon as it's out? Like right away, you should go over to the new program. What is the right decision here for all your current students? Well, why don't we go through the transition rules using the CPA Ontario's website? I think CPA Ontario did a fantastic job. CPA Western also has a diagram, but it's a little bit hard to follow. So I'm going to show CPA Ontario's here. I'm going to show their website here. All those links, I'll try to post in the description of my YouTube video so you guys can watch it later. But here it is. Let me just make sure I'm showing it appropriately. Yep, you guys can see it. Right here, this diagram here is very easy to understand in my opinion. In here, it's saying that whatever you've completed and what you can satisfy, right? Let's say you're simply like eligible to begin a core one, like you finish your university and so on. You're exempt from something called knowledge assessment, which at this point doesn't mean much for you, but I'll explain a little bit later. But this is one of the first steps in the new 2021. You're exempt from it, but everything else you still got to do it. So it doesn't really give you much. You're going to start fresh in a new program pretty much, okay? Now let's say you passed. It's a successfully completed, right? You passed core one. You're going to be exempt from this knowledge assessment, which I call KA, and then foundational development. You're going to be exempt from this as well, but not the FDE, the foundational development exam. A lot of these things don't make any sense, but I promise you it will. Just bear with me, all right? If you finish core two but not core one, then you'll be placed same as before, basically just exempt from this two, but you still got to do all those other things over here. And if you pass days 2, 3 only, this is the best case scenario. You get exempted from a lot of things, and you have just one exam. You got to do one module and one exam, and you're done. Okay. So here's my take on it. Right. I'll just give you my summary because there's a lot of details I've just given you. There's not much exemption really, right? Even if you really moved up in a PEP module, there's still a lot of stuff you got to do in this module. You got to take a lot of exams. You have to take another module, and so on and so on. So I don't think this gives you a lot of opportunity of avoiding more coursework if you were to switch over. Okay, so let me go back to my slides now. And by the way, there's just one little caveat for MOU students. So MOU students, you know who you are. Those are international accountants who are challenging the CP. As you are exempt from all modules except the CP, it depends where you are, right? If you're an MOU student and you pass day one only, but not days 2 and 3, then as per the diagram I was just showing you on CPA Ontario's website, that's where you'll be. But future MOU students from 2027 onwards, they're working on the policies, the MOU agreements. And when they decide, you will know which exams you get to avoid with your MOU or you don't avoid. That's from 2027 onwards. What do you do? Again, going back to the big question, what do you do? Should you jump ship or not? You know, both CPA Western and CPA Ontario, they both recommend finishing the current program. They're saying don't jump ship. And you know what? I also recommend finishing the current program. Stay in the pipeline. Don't go to the new pipeline in January 2027. And I'll tell you why I'm saying this, right? Because I got another great news for you guys. Okay, I just found out great news, and that is Elon Musk has finished building the Starship, and we can now go to Mars. Actually, from January 2027, coincidentally, we can go on Mars. Okay, it's ready. We can go on Mars. So, question for you: if you were the first group to go to Mars, would you do it? I don't know what you said, but maybe you said I'd rather stay in Earth. Well, you know what? It makes sense, right? Because the current program is more familiar and we have more past exam sets. This new 2027 CPAP, it'll be much more complex, and I'll prove to you in this webinar that it'll be more complex. So, in my opinion, if you're somewhere in your program, even if you passed everything except day one, so that was like the best case scenario, right, where you don't have much remaining. I'd rather take the day one exam in a current program than in the new program because we have no precedence. We don't have any past exams. You're taking a huge risk by being so unfamiliar with it, and there's so much more stuff they can test you on in this program. So I'm on the same side as CPA Ontario and CPA Western. I'm saying finish the current program. Don't jump ship until you have no choice. Then you have to do it in December 2018. Okay. Okay, so that was the entry for transition, right? But let's talk about if you're a fresh new student. So this is for all the students who are not in core one, or they're not ready even to begin core one. So if you're in that case, then you will essentially be a fresh student in the new pipeline. You cannot go to the old pipeline with the core one and core two, effective like January 2027. You're starting in a new program, in a new pipeline. And essentially, this is how it's going to work for fresh new students. We used to have PEP and PrEP. That is no longer the case. So if you have a university degree in accounting, you right away move on to the first module. However, if you don't have it, then you have to take this exam, which is called knowledge assessment. I call it KA, knowledge assessment. I've been told it is most likely going to be multiple choice questionnaire or multiple choice exam. If you pass this knowledge assessment, great, you are beginning. So think of this knowledge assessment like the current prep, right? So it's all for all the students who don't have an accounting degree. You have to take it. If you pass it, if you pass prep, great, you're beginning like core one. It's the same thing in the new program. You're beginning in module one. But if you don't pass it, you got to do it again and again until you do pass it and you can begin. So that's the life of an accounting major and new student. Okay, that was entry, right? That was part one. I would like to move on now to the second one, which is examination and education. I'm going to call it module and exams. And this diagram from CPA Ontario does a great job in showing you the names of these new modules. And you've probably seen it. I think it's getting very popular these days. Everybody's reading news on it. So we have foundational development, that's module one, I call it FD. CPA core, I call it CR, and then leadership, I call it LD. And then we have professional readiness, I call it PR. So FD, CR, LD, PR. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the way, all these acronyms, they may be adjusted down the road. That's just my first knee-jerk reaction to assign acronyms to them, but I'll probably adjust it as we go. So the FD, foundational development, is going to have the FDE, foundational development exam. And then you have the professional final exam 1, 2, 3, which is going to be kind of, I call it PV1, PV2, PV3. Those are like 3 exams now back to back, like the current CP that's gone. You're going to take the exam and you have to wait for the next module, take that exam and the next module. So the concept of CP, like this high stakes back to back exam, is no longer the case. They are all going to be separate exams from each other, like separate modules that you're taking. You'll notice for the second one, for the core or CR, for PV1, I put in parentheses L or NL. That means licensing or not licensing. So you actually have a choice in that module in the CPA core. If you want to practice public accounting, you have to take the licensing version of the module and exam. If you don't care about it, you don't want to practice, then you just take the non-licensing version of the exam. So that's where you have to make your decision. It's at the second module there, the CR. Currently with CPA PEP, we have something called PDPA. It is a module you can take after you finish the CP if you didn't major in insurance or tax, and they will give you a license. I have no information currently if they will give that option. Like, for example, you chose in the mod 2, which is the core, you chose not to go with licensing, but then later you change your mind. What can you do, right? Can you go back and retake it? No info on that. We have to find out a little bit later, okay? So let me go module by module and tell you what I know about them. Let's begin with foundational development. Module number 1, FD. It's going to test you on something called specific competency in the topic areas such as financial reporting, assurance and trust, analytics, sustainability, and a few other things as well. It's also going to test you on foundational competencies like sustainability and economics. We haven't had that in the CPA PEP, along with some foundational areas, etc., etc. And you're also going to apply ethical mindset using decision competencies. If you're a current student in the CPA program, you're probably scared. You're like, what is Gevorg talking about? I've never heard these terms before. Don't we just have like technical competencies and enabling competencies, right? So sorry, folks, that's gone. That is no longer going to be, that's no longer going to be the case from 2027 because, as I said, the new program and the new Competency Map, even though it's shorter, it is a bit more complicated. CPA Canada was adamant about getting rid of the knowledge supplement, and the knowledge supplement was effectively a list of topics that you could be examined on, right? It was, let's say, NPV, capital budgeting, financial reporting, rubric, all those things in there. That's gone. So you have all this stuff here. The underlying things is what I want you to focus on: specific competency, foundational competency, subfoundational competency, and so on. And for you to understand it, you got to start reading the new CM 2.0, which is the new Competency Map. It is much shorter, but it is principle-based. And I'm going to say that a few times in this webinar. Principle-based means it doesn't have like a laundry list of topics they can test you on. On the contrary, they kept it open-ended. They said, we want to test your human skills and values, as you can see there. They want to check how you plan and design your approach and so on. That's a problem. That's quite a problem because when something is open-ended and principle-based, it's much harder as a student to really nail down and study for it because you don't know which side you're going to be hit on. It's open-ended. It can be tested in many different ways, right? So this picture is from the CPA Canada CM 2.0. I recommend all of you download it, start reading it and reviewing it. These competencies I had, I'm just going back, it's like the specific competencies in topic areas such as financial reporting and so on. So basically this CM 2.0 has something called integrated common core competencies, and I highlighted in yellow just to show to you. So while before we had technical and enabling, that's no longer the case. The first level that we're starting with is called integrated common core competencies. That's first the highest level. This is divided into two sub-levels, and they're called foundational common core competencies and a CPA ethical mindset. And I highlighted it again in yellow so you can see it in the CM 2.0. And we're not done yet. There's another set of competencies, which is called decision competencies. And it has like 5 steps. And my screenshot also changed here that you have to follow. The first thing I have there, the integrated common core competencies, which are foundational and CPA ethical mindset, together, number 1 and number 2, you see my diagram, they're divided into 18 topic areas, which I call TAs, right? And these TAs are divided into specific competencies, foundational competencies, and then more so foundational competencies. Okay, have I convinced you that this new thing is more complex than what we had before, right? So once I show you that screenshot one more time, I think you will have a better understanding of where everything fits. So here's that foundational development, the first mod in the new in the program. It says specific competency topic areas. Notice how I italicize topic areas, such as financial reporting, assurance and trust, analytics, sustainability, and so on. So let's go back to my breakdown here. So it was saying that there'll be specific competencies. So that's the SC that you see under 18 topic areas. And it's saying in topic areas, so there's 18 of them. So it's going to be topic areas such as financial reporting, assurance, and so on. So basically, each of those things, specific competency, foundational competency, sub-foundational competency, they all kind of feed into topic areas, and you can be tested on those principles, like the specific, foundational, and sub-foundational. And I'll just pull like an example for you. So it was saying assurance and trust was one of them. So this is topic areas are on the left side, so the comps are on the right side. So AC1 is about assurance and trust. So let's see what this principle is about. So I'm reading now the part that says AC1. It says, apply accounting and assurance standards and tax requirements as needed. For example, CPA Canada handbooks, CPA Canada Public Sector Handbook, and Canadian Income Tax Act by researching and analyzing issues in routine situations of low to moderate levels of ambiguity, complexity, and uncertainty. This is basically saying you're going to get questions on CPA Canada handbook, including the public sector, including the Income Tax Act. And you'll be basically presented with similar AOs as what you guys are currently familiar with. So like CAS standard AOs, the tax kind of AOs, they just put it into one little TA topic area called assurance trust. So those are the kind of AOs you can expect in here, right? For this specific section, assurance and trust. A lot of questions are coming out of this, right? A lot of questions because we're just getting started working with this new Competency Map and the modules. What kind of specific AOs can you get? How are they graded? Is it like not addressed, normal competence, reaching competence, so on? Do you get 3 attempts? How many minutes are each of those cases? And are we going to get just cases or is going to be something more than that? And going back to the screenshot, so how exactly do the specific competencies fit into topic areas and so on, right? So for all of those questions, and trust me, I've been trying to twist CPA Canada's arms to try to get them more info. They just kept telling me wait until 2026. They were kind enough to share a lot of information, which I really appreciate, but a lot of things are still to be determined because they haven't figured out themselves. So for all these questions that I've put over here, if these are the questions you guys wanted to ask me today, unfortunately, there is no answer for those, right? We have to wait a little bit longer, maybe 6 months, 7 months until 2026. And then when we get there, we will find out exactly what kind of questions we can get because that's really what it's all about, right? Okay, so that was module 1 I just covered with you. Let's go to the second module, which is the core module. So this one has 2 options. You have the common and you have the licensure. As I said, if you want to get public practice license, you got to do licensure module. It has more depth, the licensure on the financial and non-financial reporting, assurance and tax, for obvious reasons, because it's for the license. While the common one is focused on specific competencies in areas like in the topic areas, it should say actually, like financial reporting, assurance and trust, big data, analytic, and taxation. So you're going to get AOs from that image I showed you of the CM 2.0 that are related to assurance and trust, big data, analytical. I wish I had the blueprint for each of those modules. That will really tell me what kind of question you can get, but to be determined. You guys gotta have to wait till 2026. I'll definitely do more videos. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, and you will get updates on the new program as we go. Okay, so this is the second one. Let's go to the third one. That's the leadership one. So it's how to deepen your CPA ethical mindset, and you're gonna be taught the CPA advanced professional competences. That are basically, this is another name for the decision competencies, or DCs. It's about decision making, critical thinking, integrated problem solving. It is going to be a very tough exam, folks. Okay, so just if there's one takeaway from here, is that Mod 3, the leadership, is going to integrate all competencies from topic areas such as finance, assurance management, accounting, sustainability, and EDI through case-based learning. In fact, this is the only module where CPA Canada, i.e. Ontario and Western and so on, they use the word case-based learning. So I took that last point in my slides from their communication. For the other Mod 1, Mod 2, they never said it's going to be case-based. That's why I'm waiting to find out exactly what kind of exams are we looking at in the sense of format and blueprint and so on. Okay, so remember, this Mod 3 is going to be pretty tough. From Mod 3, we go to Mod 4, the last one, which is Professional Readiness. And you're going to do the PFE here, the PFE 3. This is the final step to prepare for application. This one's going to be very interesting because you can have intensive 5-day in-person educational experience culminating in the PFE3. All right, so 5-day in-person experience. Okay, interesting. No info, guys. Sorry, I don't know where is it, what is it. I imagine it is like the current session leader workshops that you guys go to in the beginning of your modules. There will probably be group work here. I'm quite sure about it. And you will also have an exam at the end of it, the PFE3, which will be the final thing you're going to do. That's all. So remember, there are 4 modules in the new 2027 program, and that takes care of your education and examination piece. And we're going to go to the experience, the last E that you need to graduate. It's a 3-step process. This is basically the current pro we have. It's a 3-step process. Step 1 is to gain foundational work experience, and that gives you 8 months. That's the maximum you can bring over. Think of this FWE, foundational work experience, as basically the prior EVR. Sorry, not prior EV, I meant to say, so prior experience verification. So if you're a PER student already, this essentially meant that you could bring over 8 months from basically from your job before you began the studies. Then you do something called a work plan. And once you do step 3, you move on to step 3, you do professional work experience, that is 16 months. So great news, we're down to 24 months for PER, or now it's called work experience, instead of 30 months. But I have also not so great news here. In the new program, I've been told that when you go on vacation or you take days off, the clock stops. They don't count it. And then when you come back, then it continues from there. So I've been told that it is effectively the same as 30 months in reality, because students will understand we go on vacation and so on, and it's just going to delay it. I can't imagine someone will go on 6 months of vacation in that time period, but it will certainly be more than 24 months, assuming you guys take some time off, especially for preparing for all those exams that we have, right? The 4 mod exams. Okay, now the next diagram is from CPA Ontario, and I think this really culminates and brings everything together. No accounting degree, you're going to do this KA, knowledge assessment, likely MCQs, and you're going to start the module 1, and then you're going to move on to 2, you're going to have 3, and then the 4th one. If you already have accounting degree, you just jump to the module 1 right away. And this is where the work experience piece fits in. So you can actually bring it in even before you begin your foundational development. So just like I said, it's just like the prior experience verification, right? You can bring in your prior experience, but it's maximum 8 months. Currently in the PERT is 12 months. It's reduced to 8 months you can bring over. And then once you bring over 8 months, you're chugging along, you're doing all your modules. You have to get minimum 16 months. At that point, you'll be done. But here's the catch. This is the big change they've done. Currently, a lot of you are leaving PERT until the very end. They're now forcing you to finish your PERT or work experience before you can write the last professional final exam. So you can no longer procrastinate and be like, let me do all my exams and then PERT. If you are chugging along and you reach this part and you didn't bring in 8 months, or you didn't do any work plan or reporting, unfortunately, you'll be stuck right here until you get this done. You satisfy those 16 months. And the CPA Canada approves it. We don't have any info whether you have a mentor, supervisor, how does it work for public practice or industry, but regardless, you have to satisfy this experience, and then when you are done with this, they will let you do your final exam, and then you can graduate. So I imagine it's going to be a huge bottleneck for a lot of students. I imagine a lot of you are gonna indeed procrastinate and you're gonna have a huge gap here, maybe 1 year gap, maybe 1.5 years gap, trying to get this done. And then only you will do this exam, which kind of sucks, guys, because when you're in a mode of doing exams, it's good to do it back to back. And if you pause for a year to satisfy this, you're gonna get rusty. So I encourage all of you to get this experience done as you go, prepare that work plan, make sure you have all the needed pieces like a mentor and so on, and do it as you go. As you know, I support students with PERT, and I'll definitely continue supporting students in the new program with the work experience. So you are always happy to reach out to me now, 2027 beyond, for coaching regarding the experience, okay? All right, so I got some more info for you that I've gathered. So we have 4 more CVs remaining as of recording of this webinar. It's going to be in June 2026, and there's no more May or June exams. So it's going to be early June, okay? This June 2026 is effectively the May exam, just pushed into June. We're going to have then 3 September exams, the 2026, 2027, 2028, and that is the end of CFE, which makes sense, right? If you think about that pipelines example I've shown you, you remember that December 2028 was the dead end of the pipeline. You have to jump ship at that point. You have no choice, which makes sense why there's no more CFEs after it, because there's nobody left in the pipeline anymore. Everybody's been moved over or kicked out from the program, because if you don't move over, they're going to kick you out, okay? So the prep final intake is fall 2026. Final intake for Core 1 is winter 2027. And free offerings of CPA PAP per year from 29 onwards. I apologize for the typo there. And rest information to be determined. And I'm going to show you a nice screenshot from CPA Western, which I think really helps you understand these dates. So in 1 year, you're very likely going to be able to satisfy 3 of those modules, and then you have to wait until you do the work experience, and that's done. And then you can move on and do your 4th final module. So I've been told it will take roughly about 1.5 to 2 years for most students to go through this entire program and finish it, kind of similar to what's happening right now. Now, that picture I was going to show you, so here it is from CPA Western's website. I think it's a really nice. So here's that image here, and it shows you the key dates and so on. I have a zoomed in version, which I want to show in a second, but I would like you to make a note of this. The first offering of the CPA PEP, sorry, the CPA Professional Exam, the CPA PFE exams will be in September 2027. CPAP is going to begin in May 2027, and it says subsequent offerings will be 3 times annually with timing to be confirmed. Okay, just keep this in mind as I'm showing you the next picture. So we have January 2027. It is the beginning of the new program. It launches, and you can start reporting your work experience from January onwards, right? And all your university students, you can start to do your knowledge assessments from March 2027. And May 2027, that is a very exciting time because that is the beginning of CPAP. You begin, since some of you will be transitioning at different levels, in May 2027, all of them, all 4 modules are going to begin at that time. But depending where you are, you'll be moved to a different level in the new program, right? And then if we have the May when it's beginning and September is when exam, so we can infer from this then how many months is it from May to September? I guess it depends if it's beginning of May or end, but I counted roughly 3 months. So from that, I learned that each of the modules is going to be like 3 months long. But again, to be determined, we don't have that info. Down here, we have the final Core 2 offering, final Core 1 exam. Remember, June 2027. September is the final Core 2 exam. Final elective offering is going to be October 2027. And notice for 2028, future offerings are not yet disclosed. So we don't know when we're going to have the next set of CPAP modules. But anyways, it'll be very exciting to have so many different levels happening simultaneously as we go. Folks, this was quick and to the point. It was a brief summary, and I would like to thank CPA Western and CPA Ontario for sharing the information. And now I'm going to open the floor for Q&A if anybody has any questions for me. And I promise I'll be updating more content as I learn new things, which will effectively be, I'll be updating a lot of videos, but in 2026 onwards, I'll have a lot more concrete info on the exams and I'll upload it for you guys, okay? And hope you like my abbreviations. I'll try not to change them too much as I go. Okay, so I'm gonna open the chat and I'll just go question by question and answer those.